Sometimes I feel like I'm just waiting to have a life, or really to feel like it is my own. When you're raised to please everyone and assume your pleasure in you makes you selfish, self-absorbed and a bad person, life kind of feels like a giant waiting room for the next person to come in for you, to please and leave at their pleasure. When I look back at those that left me, they were so ordinary for how extraordinary I made them and eventually their exit. Moreover, their standards of accepting bullshit from others were way higher than from me, and that just triggered my low self esteem. Peter contemplated staying with a guy who hid his anal worms just because they like sci fi movies. And somehow, I stopped being fun to go out with. Lucia wanted a man to pick her so badly, she ignored that all of them treated her like a vacation. After 2 weeks, it was time to go back home. The producer talked shit about every human being, but really just women, that helped him trying to be the star he swore he did not want to be. Vangelino saw women as his sex toys while he tried to figure out his career, and he was good at neither. Meanwhile, my exes all shared the same qualities of being so self sabotaging they craved a mental health keeper to just get them to their destinations, across all emotional ruts like a spiritual taxicab. Once they arrived to where they were going, they left me, and I wondered how I got there. I was raised to make everyone's comfort the center of my world, so when they left me, it hurt, even if I did not like them, and they preferred sci fi nerds with anal worms over dinner in my company. It made me feel like I failed to please. But no, now I realize, I failed to get pleased. I never think of my own pleasure in anything, which only makes their exit hurt more. My identity is strictly constructed by how I center the world and quietly resent not being able to center myself. And that was what killed me and now makes me resent me. I was just never thinking about my own pleasure, assuming that pleasure only came from how people were pleased with you. I can sit here and read every person that did not like me for filth, but that would do nothing but oddly reveal that despite their ordinary or decrepit behavior, I'm still the problem. And it kind of makes me look bitter, which is never a good look. Moreover, there are people that I let go, friends that were willing to be closer to me while I faded them out, lovers that really wanted a deeper intimacy with me. But I was raised in a laugh cry household, which means we either had fun or fought, and to avoid either, we isolated. What depth can really be gotten in that dynamic? There were opportunities for better pay and more constancy in my career, but I waited for the boss that loved to take my ideas to finally take me. Yet I admire all of those people in an odd way that have entered my life because they were all the center of their own world, whether it was the center of their joy or pain or delusion or love. They were the centers. I've been a fool, and now I don't know what to do with that beyond grow from it and get my own life. The people that either hurt or loved me were all strictly their center, and I want to blame them for not making me theirs like I made them my center. But the truth is, some of those relationships were so quick and not that important as I made them in my head. And that's the problem. You cannot live in your head. You have to live in your heart. And that's where pleasure is. All right, let's heal, let's discuss. So I I don't think I have a life. I know I have a life, and I don't want to be harsh on me, but I also have to be real with me. And I think some of that ego crush of when people leave my life is, first of all, I don't pick. I have said that a billion times. I always have been attracted to mean people because my parents were mean. My dad was abusive. And I just was raised in a mean family, in mean families that pacified all that meanness with um either A, oh, they didn't mean it, or B, you have no sense of humor, you're very sensitive, or C, it hurts me that you're hurt and that makes you hurtful. Like there was just always a reason for me not to feel bad at the level of toxicity that was surrounding me. And I I was the sweet one of the family, the sweet funny one. I was really funny and really sweet because my family's humor was bullying. Just make fun of each other, and you better laugh because if you cry everyone's going to go harder. That's why I think I'm so good at stand-up comedy. I'm like that. I lived with hecklers. Um but I didn't like that energy. By my very nature, I just thought we could love and laugh. And I didn't like feeling like the people that I was loving secretly hated me because they would make fun of me and bring up things that bring me up in ways I never saw myself, and obviously those ways were negative. So when, I mentioned Peter and Lucia and they're all getting their own episodes, I have like a 3 episode arc about these character analysis of people that left me. And these were people, I think what was so interesting is I've always attracted mean people. And I've always been the person, and you might have clocked it in a prior episode. I've always been the person that thinks they're changing only to realize they're not. Like, and I think that's everybody. I think the problem is we can pick up a pattern and it takes us 10 years to actually like really realize, oh shit, that's a pattern. I really got to change that. And then that could take another 10 years to actually change it. And it's exhausting, but it's your life and you have to grow. And one of my patterns is that high tolerance for mean people. And I thought I was changing it because I was now trying to invite people into my life that were nice. And the difference between nice people like Peter or Lucia or even the producer is that they are very welcoming, and they kind of have this like love bombing tendency of, I'm going to be really good to you for 5 weeks, and then for 5 years you're just going to be trying to be good to me so we could get back to when I was good to you, like that kind of. They're nice to everybody, but they're, what they feel about you is hard to read because they're the center of their world. And yet I never read that they didn't like me until they ghosted me or they abandoned me and then I left. And they're fine. They're okay. They're It's interesting because they use this strategy of nice, I'm just going to be nice. And I was used to people being overtly and out loud mean to me and saying I love you. So they threw me into a loop because when I realized it, and we have an episode with Peter coming up, like Peter was racist, and he had this thing about exoticizing Latinos, and he didn't find me exotic enough. He thought Puerto Ricans, Caribbean Latinos were trashy. And he said it, and I just didn't receive it. So when he eventually just faded from my life, no Merry Christmas here. Um I was like, huh? And I feel like when I look back on some of my friendships, like Lucia planned a lot of things, and she didn't like me because I have a personality. Like, she has a nice personality, very nice to everybody. But I have a personality. Like, I'm not only nice, I'm kind and I'm funny, and I felt like people that have to fake to be loved always are challenged by me because I'm genuine, and I I'm like a genuine center, and I don't even realize it. But then I dim myself because I want them to like me. I even want fake people to like me. I have no standards. I'm getting one. I swear to God, I'm getting one. But I mention these people, and I mention I don't want to read them fulfilled. I think what happens to a lot of people, and I wrote about it in Love Hormones, is that it's literally a love hormone. Like, you just see everybody that you love so extraordinary because of how they make you feel. But when you're raised to be a people pleaser, a lot of your feelings are elusive because you're raised to please everybody and not really see them. Because if you actually saw them, you will realize A, they're not worth pleasing, B, they will never be that pleased with you, and C, you're not pleased by them. Like even Lucia, like we didn't have deep conversations. It's not serious. Like what the fuck am I on? Even Peter, like he wasn't funny. He just laughed at everything. And I have, as a people pleaser, raised by mean people in mean families, my standards were so low for love. If you laughed at my joke, love. If you text me back, love. If you don't text me back, you still love me. I just have to chase you. Like everything was, you're gonna love me. And you do love me. Except you're abandoning me and you're making fun of me. And we don't really have a deep connection. Why am I here working on your projects, working on setting up your travels, working on like trying to start conversations? Like what am I doing? And I think the tendency to read people for filth after they're gone comes from two things. It could come from bitterness, but I think it also comes from like laughing at your own stupidity. Because when I make fun of Peter or the Angelino or the producer, all these characters that I repeat, that are amalgamations of various people, I'm really just making fun of me because I chose them, I chased them, and I'm addicted to this cycle that was embedded in me as a child because that's how I made my family love me. I made my family love me by never crying in front of them, but crying incredibly loudly in my room because I am a loud crier. So I mean, I wasn't exactly good at the cover up. Um, by being really, really funny. And then they love that I don't make fun of people. So I was like hilarious to them because I taught them a new humor, which is you don't have to make fun of someone to make them laugh. There's physical humor. Like I would tap dance and things like that. I would invent songs. And they thought I was great because I didn't. It's so funny. They loved me because I didn't make fun of anybody. And I was still funny. And yet they all were proud of themselves for how they handled, jokes and ribbing and bullying. But if my humor was breath to them, they weren't handling it that well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like if you like somebody who doesn't make fun of you, but yet you're proud of how everybody does, you like that person because they're refreshing and they're teaching you something that you always wish, which I wished people would stop making fun of me, you know? And I feel like that only furthered me as being the comfort to everybody, as being the center of everybody. I became the keeper of everybody's mental health, of everybody's secrets, of everybody's, like when Peter told me about the anal worms guy and how he like basically the guy hid that he had anal worms and he was rewriting this text on how to approach the relationship because he genuinely liked him. But he hid that, and they were starting to get to the next level of their relationship. And then he was like, wait, what's that? And uh, when I think of the amount of care that he took with that guy, and I didn't even get a Merry Christmas. Nobody even knows my birthday. And I pick people like that. I pick people that I watch and help them care for other people's hearts while just dismissing mine. And that's okay. That's okay that it's not okay because that's not on him. That's on me. That's on me. I need someone to care for me, to care about me. And I need to do that by caring for myself and not grieving people that don't care about me, because then I grieve. I grieve that I failed to please them. I grieve that I failed to keep them. I I get this horrible low self-esteem that then reveals to me as I climb out of my depression hole. They weren't that extraordinary, and they never liked me, not even half as much as I liked them. They were living their lives, and I had none. I had no life beyond how I made people like me, only to compete with people that saw that I'm genuinely likable. Like, people generally do like me. I'm chasing the ones that don't. And that's why I ended it with, you know, and I'm going to start to bring up the people I let go, because I have to be fair in this healing process. But it's hard to talk about the ones that I let go. And I'm getting a little cracky when I mention them in my voice, because they were magnificent. And I really did like them. But I wasn't raised to think people will like me as I am. So when they did like me, I just couldn't believe it. And I have regrets now. And I'm trying to bring new people that like me in my life, because when I look back, I would have loved to be loved by them. I just wasn't. I wasn't who I am. I wasn't who I want to be. I was still a manifestation of being everyone's comfort blanket, of being the person that makes everyone really love themselves in exchange of loving herself. And I feel really, I'm thinking of certain people now, and that's why I'm crying, because they were so cool. They were cool, and they were silly and sweet. And I just didn't give them the chance they deserved. And that's on me. That's on me. That's on me. And it's so embarrassing. I mean, it's embarrassing and it's not. It's life. You're going to be an idiot. And you're going to be very cringy. And you're just going to walk into the same fucking walls. You're just gonna walk into them. And I say effing, and I don't even like to curse, but sometimes you just gotta, because that's what they are. They're just like big effing walls that you keep crashing into until one day you get out of the car and you're like, let me just start looking at this wall and see if there's a hole or something. Or if there's another alley, because I can't do this. I can't keep living like this. I can't keep living like this. This is not cool. Because I'm foolish. But I wasn't allowed to grow, because if I grew as a kid, grew spiritually, grew emotionally, grew mentally, even I realized I would be leaving everybody behind. I would lose the entire family I was born into. And no kid wants that. And not and no adult really wants that. You're just more willing to accept that. My gosh. I really hope that everyone who listens to this listens to it with grace for me, but grace for yourselves. Because I'm not alone in being an idiot. And that's what I said in the end. You cannot live in your head, you have to live in your heart. Your heart is where pleasure lies. It's feelings. And I feel like I machinated feelings. That's why my feelings are elusive, because I have to rewrite in my brain every person as perfect, and then rewrite myself as imperfect, so that I can start another toxic relationship, really thinking they're the only toxic ones, because I do everything for them, they do nothing for me. And I'm like, no, that makes me toxic. That makes me toxic. That makes me an eternal victim. And whether I'm an actual victim, it doesn't matter, because I There comes a point you could put yourself in, it's like I'm constantly, what is it, the victim in the murder scene with they chalk them. I feel like I go into every relationship looking for that chalk on the floor of a body and lying in it. And now I've reached this point where I'm like, hello, hello, stupid. You don't even have to look for the chalk. Stop that. Oh, I should do an episode. Don't look for the chalk. But I was always deemed so emotional in my family, and now I realize it's so good to be emotional. It's so good to have feelings because they called me emotional when I felt bad about how they made me feel bad. Like you couldn't feel bad in my family. You could behave bad, but you couldn't feel it. And I couldn't do either. I couldn't behave bad and I couldn't feel bad. And now I'm like just trying to, I don't want to be bad. That's why I want to be precarious in how I talk about people that hurt me or left me, because what if they became better people? What if, yeah, they were bad to me, but they were good to someone else, and both are valid. They're not, they're my villains, but they're someone else's hero. And both are valid. Both are valid. Ugh, Jesus, I hate growth. But ultimately, what I'm trying to say is life is how you feel about it, and your thoughts are how you process those feelings. And I was just taught to think up feelings, and now I'm paying for it. Now I'm paying for it because I am alone, and I have to figure out in that aloneness not to be lonely, to love myself and be my best friend, and hope that garners the people that will let me be my best friend and want to join. Ugh. Check out daddyrecovery.com for the stories. Subscribe to all my platforms. Check out the Andrew reviews for my reviews, and check out both for my journey as Hadeen. Thank you.